Hello everyone, my name is Ashish and you're watching on the YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to learn about destructuring in JavaScript. As usual, I'm using the VS Code text editor with live server extension installed and I have my console open in the Chrome browser. So without wasting any time, let's get started. If you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell icon so that you don't miss any of our videos. So at first, what is destructuring? Destructuring means breaking a complex structure into simpler parts. In JavaScript, it is an expression to destruct the arrays or objects and extract their values or properties in some other variable. Let's see this with an example. Suppose we have an array that goes by const arr and we have its values 1, 2 and 3. Now let's say we want to create two variables a and b and we want to store the first and second value of the arr array. So we can do this by using the index of the arr array. So we'll say a equal to arr0 and similarly we can also say b equal to arr1. Now, although this is one way of doing that, a modern and more elegant way of doing this is through destructuring. So, for the destructuring syntax, what we do, that we have an array with the variables on the left hand side and on the right hand side, we have the array which we want to destructure. So, if we comment these lines out and if we log on to the console, the values of a and b, let's see what we get. You can see the values of a and b are 1 and 2 here. Now let's see what's happening visually. So we have an array, suppose with some elements. Now we want to destructure the array into variables. So we can create another array and here we will give the variables suppose a and b, and here we have this array 1, 2 and 3. Suppose we have one more element, say 4. So when we do like this, what we get is this 1 goes to this variable a and this 2 goes to this variable b. Now if we want to suppose store c, what we can do is we can create another variable. In this case, 3 will also be stored inside c. Similarly, we can also do nested arrays. For example, let's suppose that our arr array also have one array in between. So let's make an array of say 4, 5 and 6. And let's say we have one more element as 7. If suppose you want to take these 4 and 5 and 6, these values out from the array, what we can do is on the left hand side, we will keep 3 places blank. So we will create 2 commas and now we will create an array and inside this we'll say 4, 5, 6. Now these 4, 5 and 6 will be stored in these values. Let's log this onto the console and see if we are getting the same result or not. Sorry, we have to give one more comma here because we have to leave 1, 2 and 3 and then we destructure this array inside this. Suppose we only want to destructure 5 and 6, then we can remove this 4 also and then you can see we will get 5 and 6 here. We can also provide an initial value. For example, let's take a simple example. We'll revert back to our previous array containing 3 elements and then we'll remove this and suppose we have here 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now if we log this onto the console, suppose 1, 2, 3 and 4, you can see that we are getting the value 4 as undefined. We can pass an initial value like this. and you will see that it will be 4. If at some point you add another element to the array, say I add a string, so I say 4, and you can see the value of this 4 variable gets updated with the string which we have passed, and if we don't pass the string, then it will be the default value which we have provided. Similarly, in object destructuring, we can take out the property names from an object. For example, let's create an object person and let's give it properties, say age and name. Now, if we want to destructure this object and take out these properties as single variables, we can just create this curly bracket syntax and write the name of properties as it is. So we'll say age and name, and we'll set its value equal to the object on the right side. Now we can directly use this age and name variables, or constants in this case. So if we log this onto the console, we will get the age and the name. The object destructuring is very powerful as it allows us to use the properties of object in a very elegant and intuitive way, and also this concept is heavily used in JavaScript libraries such as React. Like in the case of arrays, while object destructuring, we can also pass a default value which will be used in case the property is not present inside the object. For example, if I create a variable salary which is not present inside the person, and if we try to print out salary, it will say undefined. So we can give an initial value, say for example 25,000, and it will show 25,000 instead of undefined. And when we update our object with the new salary, the variable will be automatically updated. Now we can also do nested object destructuring. So for example, if we have, suppose, location property, and this is an object with the keys, say country, let's suppose India, and suppose pin code. So now we can take the values of country and pin code out by using the location property. So inside the curly braces, we'll first remove this and we'll write location. So we'll do LOC, and then we will do a colon, and inside this we'll create an object, and here we'll say country, comma, pin code. Now if we log the country and pin code onto the console, let's see what we get. And here you can see that we have taken out the values from this object into these variables. One thing to note here is that the name of the variable which is used for destructuring should be same as the name of the property inside the object. Otherwise it won't work. So what if you want to take out the property and save it into a different variable which is not of the same name as of the property? So for that we use another syntax. For example, let's suppose we want to destructure this age into some other variable, say age of person. So we'll say age, and then we'll use a colon, and then we'll specify the other variable, in this case age of person. And now if we log this onto the console, we can see that age of person is 29. That is same as the property age. If we want to do the same thing inside the nested object, we can do it in a similar manner. For example, if we want to change the name of this pin code variable to country code, then we'll put a colon here and we'll write the name of the new variable. Let's make it in camel case. Now we have to change this pin code variable to country code. And now you can see that the country code variable is same as the pin code property here. If you still don't appreciate the power of destructuring, let's take an example of mixed destructuring. So we'll create an array in this LOC object. So we'll say coordinates and we'll set its value equal to an array, and here we'll say 20.5 and say 78.9. If we want to take out these values inside a variable, we can do const and then we'll create our curly braces. Now inside this, first we'll access this LOC property. So we'll do LOC. Inside this, again we'll use the curly braces syntax, and here we will access this coordinates property. So we'll say coordinates and then we'll access this array. So here we'll make an array and say lat, long, and we'll set its value equal to our person object. Now if we log this lat and long variable onto the console, you can see that we have got the same values as of the coordinates property. Now traditionally, if we don't use destructuring, in order to access the latitude or longitude, we'll have to use the dot notation method. Let's see that as well so that we can relate and understand it well. So to print the latitude, we will say person dot loc dot coordinates, and then we'll say 0. So you can see here that here we can just use the lat variable, and here we have to use the complete dot notation syntax, which is much more difficult to understand. So this is how destructuring makes our life much easier. Just in case if you're wondering, this was an example of mixed destructuring as we extracted the values of array nested inside an object. As I told you earlier, destructuring is heavily used by libraries such as React, and we'll see this in much more detail in our upcoming React tutorials. Please hit the like button if you learned something. If you're new here, consider subscribing. See you in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.